All right, Aries, how are you all doing? Welcome into your yearly forecast. This is for the year 2026, obviously, the year ahead here. So we're going to tap in and get some themes for you, see what's going to unfold this year. We're also going to tap into the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries. And you might ask why, because this is huge. This lineup has not happened for like 6,000 years. So this is going to have a huge impact to us. This kind of, what this aspect is kind of, the theme of this is a reset and restart. I mean, this is kind of like, we're kind of starting anew. Like, this is almost like a collective reimagining of kind of how we live and can impact all aspects of our lives. So that's exciting. I'm going to do that. And then don't forget to join the extended, because we will be going into more details, specifically pulling some cards around what love and romance is going to look like for you next year, and also work and career, and then get some just final outcomes as well in the extended. So I just want to talk a little bit more about that Saturn-Neptune conjunction. That is on February 20th. So, you know, it's pretty early on in the year. This is going to have the biggest impact to anyone with Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn in the early degrees of the sign. So if you have a sun sign in any of those, go look at your birth chart and see where your sun actually falls within those degrees. And if you're on the earlier side, that's definitely going to impact you more. I mean, this is going to impact everyone, but definitely that. And then also, if you are Pisces or Aries, so Pisces, Aries, Gemini, Cancer, Virgo, Libra, or Sag or Cap, I mean, those are a lot. But if you're between 27 degrees and 4 degrees, so basically, like, if you look at your birth chart, and you have any planets within 27 degrees Pisces and 4 degrees Aries. Same with Gemini and Cancer, Virgo and Libra, and Sag and Cap, because those are kind of, obviously, the zodiac signs. You know, it's going to be at 27 degrees and then it moves to the next sign. So if you have any planets within 27 and 4 degrees of those, you'll also have some major impacts here. And then I just wanted to, so when we look at Neptune and Saturn, so Saturn is, represents kind of everything. It does represent karma, but it also kind of is that, like, represents our base, our foundation of things, right? So with this aspect, this is about collapsing institutions, organizations, really collapsing our foundation of things that, again, don't align with our highest path. It's not serving us, basically. Like, the things that are going to collapse are not serving us. So, you know, that's where we should almost, I'm excited for it. So there's going to be people who are afraid because, you know, the people that live so much in the external world and, like, really find their sense of security and stability in that are obviously going to have a harder time with this. But really, it's about realizing that, well, these things weren't serving us. And we need to trust, we really need to trust that what the universe is showing us is real. So we tend to, you know, we have this thought of, like, oh, conspiracy theorists, or, oh, it's just people trying to cause drama or issues. But really, if something is collapsing, I'm truly trusting that anything that is collapsing in the beginning of next year, there is a reason, and it wasn't serving us. And it was potentially aligned with dense energies, nefarious people, people with agendas that really align more with causing suffering rather than helping bring, rather than bringing harmony and integration into the world. So, and then you have Neptune, Neptune really represents our dreams, our, the unconscious, but the kind of, on the negative aspect of Neptune, it can create disillusionment. It can create illusions, or it can create confusion. And that's too what this aspect is bringing, is clearing out anything that's not clear. It's bringing stuff up from the surface, and especially things that aren't true, right? If people are not in integrity, they're lying, or what they're putting out as an image is completely not the truth, those things are also going to come up and be flushed out. So I really think this is going to be a great energy. I'm excited for this. And then the other thing I want to call out is we have Uranus moving into Gemini in April. So that's going to be a good one. And then I just want to check here. And then Neptune is also going to leave Pisces in January, on January 26th. So, and Neptune will enter Aries. So we have Uranus moving into Gemini, Neptune moving into Pisces, and this Uranus one is big too. That's April 24th. That Uranus basically stays in a sign for around 7 years. We haven't had Uranus in Gemini since 1949. This was, right after World War II. So this really represents revolution, collective liberation, freedom, massive upendings that really... Uranus comes in and kind of makes changes very drastically, very unexpectedly, very surprisingly, but really its goal is to free us from things. So it's kind of that hero to me. It's Uranus comes in to save us, right? And this is going to be a huge turning point in the collective as well. This is going to be us really, to me, changing the way we think, we speak and communicate, we learn, our education system, and how we connect, because that's all Gemini energy. So, and then while we have Neptune moving into Aries, that's going to it's going to clear any sort of confusion or, again, disillusionment with that Neptune energy. So I really like that, especially the Neptune-Saturn conjunction. Saturn really is a grounding energy, and it kind of helps to kind of pull Neptune out of the sky, out of the air a little bit, because it's so dreamy and kind of a fantasy land. And it's okay, we need to kind of, first, it's going to help us ground our dreams, which I love, right? It's how do we actually make this dream tangible? How do we, get out of a fantasy land and finally really start to look at what's realistic and take action on creating the life that we want to live. So, yeah, all the outer signs are going to finally stick and move into their next sign for the foreseeable future. And these planets, again, stay in signs longer, years. So I think this is going to be a good year because, in 2025, these planets were kind of moving in and out. They were on the tail end of the degrees in their sign. But what happens when at the end there, it's kind of like a planet will move. It'll kind of move. So for example, Uranus did move into Gemini a little bit this year, but then would move back to Pisces, and it kind of goes back and forth. until it finally, moves into 0 degrees of the next sign. So there's a lot of this back and forth. So you can kind of look back, you can Google that and look when Uranus was in Gemini, or when Neptune was in Aries, and just kind of look to see, okay, what was going on for me during that time, because it kind of will give you a glimpse of that energy and what you can expect for the future here in 2026 and beyond. So I just wanted to call that out. So let's go ahead and get started. So Aries, let's see what some major themes are going to be for you guys. So we have potential and the temple path. This is crazy. So you guys are the 4th reading I'm doing. I want to say this temple path card has come up for every single sign. I have shuffled the deck pretty thoroughly. So next year is going to be a path. It's about our spiritual path. Really, that is the focus for the collective here. And I think this is about you finally starting to open up to your potential, Aries. Maybe you've just kind of been, there's this, what I'm picking up on is like you haven't fully like really expanded out into territory that you haven't realized your highest potential. Okay. And there's reasons for that for all of you. I do feel there's a sense of not feeling worthy or not feeling good enough, or just not really accepting that you can actually do these things that are, that are maybe outside your realm right now, or maybe it's more of a dream, or that you can have these things. But so next year is about you actually expanding and seeing your worth, seeing the skills and abilities that you have to offer to people, and starting to kind of expand. And this, along the combo here, really, it is a spiritual path, because it's about looking at those belief systems, our patterns, our traumas. I know I talk about this a lot, but the thing is, people like kind of roll their eyes like, here, trauma talk again. But the thing is, if that's what we focused on and made a priority, our lives would transform. They would transform. And the problem is, the world is the way that it is, and the suffering is the way it is. The mental illness, the disease, the physical ailments, all of it is due because it is just an expression of our inner world. And when our inner world is in dis-ease, right? If our inner world is in pain, if our inner world is stuck in protective, mechanisms or coping mechanisms because of pain, all of it is because of pain. The root is pain. And so we need to look at the pain, and we need to solve the pain. That's the root. And if we can solve the pain, then we can solve all these other issues. We can solve addictions. We can solve mental illness. We can solve disease. We can solve all of our health issues. We can solve all our emotional, our emotional issues, our relationship issues, all of it. So this is really the root, and we need to become aware of the root. And that's, again, the spiritual path here. And it's really you opening up to new levels of awareness and consciousness. And I feel like next year it's going to be a big year of a lot of people are going to really, there's going to be mass enlightenment. There's going to be mass people awakening and going through like their spiritual awakening next year. Obviously, if you're watching this channel, I feel like you probably have, but that is a sign you're just going to expand in new ways, and it's going to open up kind of new, I'm hearing new worlds to you, right? New experiences. And then we have the angel of strength and wisdom. So more wisdom here. So there's something about really learning, becoming wiser. I feel like looking back, especially the last 7 years, even longer, because for one, Uranus has been in Taurus for 7 years, which has been a pretty karmic energy. I feel like there's been a lot of like energy of like tug of war with Uranus and Taurus, but I think you're finally learning. Like, you've definitely been through some karmic things, some difficult things, and I feel like you're really taking the lessons from that and understanding why you went through that. I also feel like you're growing your confidence here with the Angel of Strength. You're finding courage that you never knew you had to really put yourself out there, to, again, dive into things that you're really resonate with your heart space and doing new things. There's a lot of energy about big changes for people, like shifting careers, really aligning with things that are more authentic and living out of, we're really being asked to live out of our heart space moving forward now. So I like this for you guys. All right, let's go to the tarot. So first I'm gonna we're gonna pull some cards and see how this Uranus Saturn conjunction at 0 degrees Aries is going to impact you guys specifically. So let's take a look here. So we have the Lovers, the Star. Look at already big energy. So this is going to be I think this is big impact here. Ace of Cups. Wow. I'm going to just... So this is truly around the heart space, the emotional body. So there's something like you're clearing. There is a purification of emotions here. There is healing here. So this is, to me, like healing relationship wounds, healing our connections in general, and really understanding ourselves from an emotional standpoint, because we have to do the inner work first before we can, change our, love life or relationships in general. So the Devil was in reverse, so I'm going to keep that. The Magician and Ace of Wands. Oh my gosh. Aries, look at this. So you have all major arcana here, and then you have aces. So this is going to be one of the biggest, like, I feel like when you look back at your life, like 2026 is going to be a year of major, like, new beginnings for you. There's going to be a lot of new stuff, new energy coming in. This conjunction is going to bring that in. So that's February. So be aware of that. But these are major changes that this is going to bring in for you. This is like really, to me, completely building a new foundation, dissolving the old, building the new. This is around relationship and connection here. But I do feel like there's a karmic aspect to this. So you had karmic relationships, or this is calling out a specific karmic relationship. I do feel like there's a little bit of like, resistance to facing the truth about that. And being able to identify like what's in my highest good and what's not for my highest good. And it's about making new choices for yourself that are more aligned with who you really are. But I feel like there's some distortion going on here. So I feel almost like there's some emotional wounding that is really distorting your perspective in some way, Aries, that really needs to be healed. And that's where I talked about going to the root of the pain. And that's the root of this is some sort of pain body that you really, a lot of you are really resisting facing that, because obviously when we resist something because it's painful. But the thing is, you have the power here and you have the strength. So I do feel like you have a lot of divine energy around you. You may also have a specific, like, spirit guide or ancestor that is also with you, that's going to help you. But I think you're stronger than you think you are, and I think you have power that you haven't tapped into yet. You have a lot more potential than you've lived yet. So I think the potential for the future, there's so many like timelines for you, because it's kind of up to you to decide, am I going to see my strength and confidence and see what I have to offer and give and do the healing? And that's where we get the new beginning. And you know, I see a lot of fulfillment, a lot of passion, a lot of creative energy coming in for you. Let's get let's get a clarifier for the Devil in reverse. Sun. Page of Wands. Yeah, so this does go back to childhood here for you, and these behavior patterns really were built in your childhood. And I feel like it's really blocking you from your happiness. And maybe you led a childhood that you didn't feel that happy for some of you. But again, it's like this devil energy, this distortion is blocking you from your happiness here. And that's what's trying to come in. But I also feel like this February, this astrological energy is going to shine the light on this a lot more clearly for you. So it's almost like you're going to finally get it. And you're going to finally do some major changes in your life that are going to help you finally address this and change these patterns. And you will here. You will, but you need to actually, you know, first accept that, okay, I have these patterns, especially in relationships or with, you know, and it can be love relationships, but these could be family patterns, things like that as well. All right. Well, already starting off with a bang here. So that was just for that specific aspect. So that's going to be the end of February. So now let's just do general here. General, kind of looking at the year. So we have 7 of Cups, 3 of Pentacles, 8 of Swords, 6 of Wands. And I'm going to just pull that 9 of Swords, and you have the Wheel of Fortune. So I feel like this is talking about kind of, this could be work, but it's, again, how you show up in the world. And it's almost like you want to, like you have a lot of dreams and desires, and I think you have a lot of, I think there's going to be a lot of options for you in regards to like work and like putting your work out there and showing your abilities. But something kind of keeps you, it's almost like your mind, you get really stuck in your mind about, like you overthink things. I definitely do think you have some anxiety or worries about like showing up in the world and what you have to offer. And maybe you have some, maybe that goes back to like the self-confidence thing, but you want work or people around you that can recognize you and like see the positive things you have to offer. But I also think it's a mirror of how you think about yourself here. So this is something I feel that's going to unfold for you, and just, it's something that needs to be, again, identified, addressed. But I think there's some divine, the Wheel of Fortune to me means that this, again, there's something about patterns for you, Aries. This is about getting out of these patterns. You know, the Nine of Swords is like a nightmare that you can wake yourself up from, right? And part of it is like, this is like a never-ending nightmare, sometimes referred to as like, seeing it as like Groundhog's Day, but it's kind of playing in our head like the same things, the same, we talk to ourselves the same way, and it's more negative, and it creates fear and anxiety. But the thing is, to stop, it's like we just need to shift, we need to change. So we need awareness. So we need to change the way we're speaking to others, but also how we speak to ourselves, right? And this is that Uranus moving into Gemini, which is really going to help us transform the way we think, the way we talk, and the way we learn. So maybe we need to learn new patterns here. So this is a year, to me, of learning, becoming wiser, shifting out of patterns, because there's so much potential in new things that can come in for you. Yeah, Ace of Wands again, Strength again. Okay, Six of Cups. We have the Hermit, the Queen of Cups, and the Sun again. So obviously those are big. Those keep coming up because there is something that you will overcome from 2025. You will overcome it in 2026. I think it's finding confidence here. There is new beginnings here. I do see like reconciliation of the past for you. There's something that you need to reconcile from the past in regards to some sort of relationship. But I do feel like you're going to the Hermit. So this is the Hermit's path. So you are ending this like path and finding enlightenment next year, and really understanding who you really are, and aligning with your heart space, and really aligning with what is it that I truly want in my heart, and going towards your happiness here. And Chariot, you have a lot of major arcana cards, Aries. Nine of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords. So I think once you start really focusing on shifting your patterns, I feel like figuring out what is it that you really want, especially when it comes to how you show up in the world, whether it's through your work, through your creative endeavors, because this is a lot of fast-moving energy here. And that's around when the Nine of Pentacles, which is you being authentic. So instead of like, for some reason I'm hearing like control issues, but like the control issues aren't really you. So if you have some control behaviors or need things to be a certain way, we need to kind of dig deeper than that, because that's not who you really are. And there's something about aligning with your authentic self and showing up in the world who you really are, when you take away the coping mechanisms and the behavior patterns and all of that. Things are going to really move forward quickly. I feel like there's definitely something around you manifesting your own abundance. I think there's something that you need to feel good about yourself and confident. There's something about manifesting and like building a life and some sort of career, maybe even, or putting yourself out there and knowing how to find your own security within yourself and through the external world, if that makes sense. And things are going to, I do feel like you're going to really gain a lot of confidence next year because of, and things are just going to, again, happy things here. What's the Six of Cups? Queen of Swords. Getting really clear. I think 2025 was kind of a confusing year for you. I think there was a lot of maybe hermit mode, like isolating to just kind of feeling going inward. But I feel like you're going to go more outwards in 2026. You're going to get a lot of clarity. I think you're going to have more confidence in how you speak, how you communicate. And also, again, your thoughts are going to also, there, you know, we had the Nine of Swords, but the Queen of Swords is not afraid. She's not anxious. She's really clear in her mind. What's the Knight of Swords? The Emperor and the Three of Swords. So there is something about addressing some sort of heartache here. This could be tied to the masculine energy in your life, so that could stem to back to the father energy or just, you know, partnerships, but more from the masculine side. I think there is some anger too here, but addressing this as well, I think, is going to help fuel you to feel more independent and confident. Yeah, Aries, I feel like for a lot of you, there's something about, you're too much in the swords, like too much in the mind. And it's about like going back to your heart space, getting clear, right, with what you want in your heart, getting clear and connecting more with these wounds. But overall, like there's some big changes that really are coming through. Okay, I'm going to pull one more. I'm going to pull a Gaia Oracle just to close the reading out, like an overall message for 2026. So we have Dream. Something is revealed. Insight breakthroughs. All right, you will soon break free from a situation that has been causing you concern. Something will be revealed either in a dream or through someone you know and trust. This information you receive will give you an insight into something that has remained hidden from you for some time. This will be a big relief for you as you realize that your concerns and fears were unnecessary and unfounded. All is well that ends well. However, do not forget this episode, for it is a recurring theme with you. I talked about, there's a lot about patterns. The next time you are unsure of something, try to refrain from jumping to conclusions which are not based on fact. Also pay attention to your dreams. That is also the Nine of Swords. This is about, you know, this could be about dream state. Try to remember them as you wake up. With time, you will intuitively learn their symbolic language. This message has been floating around in your dream state for some time. So, you know, just what I said, there's this being stuck in the mind. This is also the card of fears. Also that Devil in reverse from the initial cards we pulled is about fear. So there's a bit of distortion going on for you, or there has been, and that goes back to the root, right? There's pain, there's kind of behavior patterns as well, I feel, around like you kind of are always on guard and like trying to find like truth in the external world to validate your fears and to validate maybe your anger or heartache, but that's been holding you back, right? But 2026 is about liberation and freedom from this, you know, kind of these mental stuck patterns here. So 8 of Swords, stuck in the head again. This is self-imposed. So, you know, that's very of that Neptune and Pisces energy. There's a lot of illusion going on. It's like you're kind of, can kind of be energy like telling ourselves lies. Like our mind is deceiving us and telling us that something's true when really that's not the truth. So that's where we can also gain more confidence in how we communicate with people to really figure out, is this true? Like if is what I'm really thinking in my head true? I'm ruminating over it. And it's creating, to me, blocks in our relationships as well. So there is something about really innovating, transforming the way we communicate. to help ourselves heal. Because sometimes our people in our life don't know, but if we can clarify it and communicate, they can clarify their truth and help us gain better perspective and prevent us from, again, creating these stories that keep us stuck in fear, keep us stuck in suffering and heartache and things like that. So interesting, Pisces, for you this year. I think it's going to be breaking free of these bonds of patterns that have really plagued us. So I think that's a beautiful thing for you guys. And this, I feel like you're going to start to really reveal things that you've maybe been not 100% aware of in yourself. All right, Pisces. Well, if you're going to head over to the extended with me, the link is below in the description. If not, have a great year ahead. We're going to, these are coming out in December, so have a great holiday if you celebrate. But we'll continue on with the Lyran Tarot channel as usual. Stay connected with me as we move into the new year, and we'll continue to evolve and expand, and I will continue to support you in your spiritual path. So thanks again for joining. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next reading.